Hey, what's going on? This is going to be Talk with Ty, where I talk about my matches that I shot for that week or that month, and maybe put some stages here on the side or short clips where I can talk about things. Shout out to Tyler and Michael for asking for some stage breakdowns where we can take a look at some of the mistakes I made or some of the things that I did right that gave me an advantage. Today's match was Atlanta Range and Ordnance in Noonan, Georgia, and I shot okay. I think I was maybe fourth. I don't know, fourth or sixth out of like 32. It was 4 stages, and I bombed one stage today, which was one of the classifiers that I was on a piping hot run. I think it was going to be at least master, maybe GM speed at least. If the accuracy was there, it could have been. And I had a failure to extract. Long story short, I bought a new extractor, tried to put it in last night, and it wasn't working. It wasn't going to fit. So I put the old one back in, tried to add some tension, and of course, I had failure to extract, and that caused my string to go from probably 6-something seconds into 16. The other stages I shot okay. The first stage, I was really timid because that new extractor I tried to fit last night. I had to take my optic off, back out my optic plate a bit, and because of that, I was not sure if I had a good zero or not. So the first stage, when I went shooting, I was pretty much just focused on the dot intently, bang, and I looked for the hole to see how far off I am. And because of that, I was just super slow in the first segment of that stage. And yeah, there's nothing worse than not knowing if your gun has a good zero. Shoot, look for the hole, shoot, look for the hole. It's no way to shoot a match. So first stage, I was on paper, so good enough. And then the second stage was super weird. So I'm going to try and put up a image here on the side or like a short clip. And the original intent of the stage, you're supposed to start up front in the center in front of that barrier, but the previous squad started at the back. So to make everything fair, we did the same thing. What you'll see is there's a no-shoot right here. That no-shoot was intended to be part of a wall, and it was supposed to be almost like continuous barrier, but the other squad shot it over it. So if you're about 5'10" or whatever, you could peek over the top of this no-shoot, and if you look real close, you could have seen that there was already some paper blown off from people shooting so up close to it. I don't think you could have gotten a rifle over it really easy because it was that tall, but with a handgun, little tiptoe, you can get over that barrier and shoot. And I decided to do it that way because other people did it, and it would have helped me avoid shooting a heavy lean. So if you're up against a wall, you could lean up on the wall and you'd be a little canted. But anytime I can shoot with the gun straight up and down, I'm going to do that every single time. So I did a little tiptoe, let them rip. Accuracy was good. And then I did a little sidestep, and then I shot the entire array from the back. No real problems. I did have the fastest time of the night in that one. Accuracy was not great. I shot like 12 Alpha, 12 Charlie. And then there was another classifier that I actually did pretty good on. I think I shot 79%. It was, I'll show you another image here. As you can see, there are 4 targets. It's a turn and draw. And I really try to focus on getting the gun up and out of the holster as quick as possible. And part of the trick there is the turn and draw. It's so important to get that gun up and shooting fast. There were tons of people that had like 2.5 second, even saw a 6-second draw because of the turn. And the turn's a little bit different than your traditional draw because you're doing a turning motion, and a lot of times you're not straight up and down when that gun comes out of the holster, so it's kind of one of these motions. And if you haven't practiced it, it's really easy to lose your dot, and next thing you know, you're standing up there doing this. So we looked at the timer. I was at like 1.5 seconds flat, which For me, and a turn and draw is pretty good. I would have liked to have been like 1.25 would have been ideal. And I think my time to shoot that array was like 3.8 seconds. Only one Charlie, the rest were A. And I'm going to try and play it right here. So I did decide on the middle two targets to shoot head box. And I think I was the only one to shoot headshots in the middle boxes. And then a lot of people are like, what? Why'd you do that? Why'd you decide to shoot head boxes when you have the standard A zone in the chest? And it's because of that no shoot. And if you looked at the target, that A zone for the chest box was the same size as the A zone on the headshot. But I didn't have to look at a no shoot. If there's anything I've learned is that if there's a no shoot or hardcover on a target, if you look at that, you will tend to shoot it, right? You shoot at what you look at. And so when I come across, and if I were to try and shoot that small A box next to the no shoot, if I looked at that no shoot, it just draws me in, and I end up shooting low into the no shoot. So I knew if I went for the head box, it's the same size as A zone, but no risk, and I'm not going to get drawn into that no shoot. And I shot the stage pretty well. Obviously 79% is pretty good. And yeah, I would have loved to shoot it a couple more times, but it's hard to beat almost all A's and a 79% run. But a lot of people were getting chewed up on the turn and draw part of that. There were some other things that night that I think people could focus on better. The stages were not going to let you stand out. So there wasn't that much movement in there. And the one field stage was in boxes. And when shooting in the boxes, it's really difficult to be creative with your shooting. So you see a lot of AM, GM guys, they'll shoot stages slightly different, and it's because they're able to be more efficient. And that efficiency kind of gets taken away from you when you shoot from boxes, right? It's very standardized. And it takes away a lot of movement. So a lot of those top guys, they're not shooting any more accurate, and their splits and that might not even be any faster. They went on transitions and getting in and out of places, movement. So I think that hindered the scores a little bit. If you were a higher caliber shooter, you might not have stood out as much because you were stuck in a box. But one of the things that I did notice was how people were shooting the 4-target array. So I'm going to try and put another picture here. And if you look at that array, there are 4 targets in like a tic-tac-toe pattern. And it's always interesting to me how people decide to shoot that. So if you can, say out loud how you think you would shoot it. If you have 2 targets on the bottom, 2 targets on the top, no shoot in between, or no shoot, say it out loud. How do you think you're going to shoot it? What order? And what order is best, right? So I think that the best order is probably bottom. And if I had a choice ideal scenario, left, right, go up to the top, left, or go up to the top, then right, left. So the idea is this motion, right? Think of it like an N, or a C, sorry. Think of it like a C. And the reason you shoot it that way is I'm not bringing the gun down. So if you started on the head boxes or the top array of targets, you'll get the first 2, then you have to go down, and it's always really difficult to see where you're going because your gun's in the way. So always start on the bottom array. And the reason that I go left to right on the bottom array instead of bottom up is that the 2 targets on the bottom are super close. And when they're close like that, I know that my split time is going to be very short. And if they're close in the bottom and they're close at the top, I can much more consistently have a fast transition if they're just right next to each other. So you go bottom, then you bring the gun up, and then you come across. And that keeps all targets visible at all times, and it gives you the shortest transition from target to target when shooting. If you did it in a an X pattern, for instance, you're going to have a much larger swing with the gun, and it's a lot harder to stop the gun on those large transitions. So it's going to be a little bit easier and probably more consistent to go close target, or you can do it however you want. But I shot them as pairs. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts from today's match. I am new to talking in front of the camera, so be easy on me. And if you have any thoughts on content you would like to see, or if you want to argue with me, you should comment. I'd love to hear what you think, and if you have any different ideas or different opinions of what I've said. So hopefully I can keep this up, keep making videos. That's kind of the goal for this year. Yeah, let me know. Thanks.